Near mint condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome.
Absolute format is the best way to own this store. Time to empty those wallets and fill those shelves. How's it going, all you minties? Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And join me today for your overview of all of these books coming out this week from Marvel Comics. So let's go ahead and get started. And welcome back, everybody. Before going any further, a big thank you to David Gabriel and the fine folks at Marvel for sending us advanced copies of these books. All of these books are due out in the direct market or book market on September 10th or 11th, depending on where you get your books. So what we have here is a variety of different collections. We have an epic collection featuring Star Wars: The Rebellion, and then we've got a remasterwork. So this is the new printing with the latest scans and touch-ups for Uncanny X-Men. We've got some new series and a highly acclaimed series. And let's go ahead and actually start. But before I do always like to remind people not only to just smash that like button, but also that I do leave timestamps in the description of the video so you could jump around in case you're only interested in one or two titles, or in case you don't want any kind of spoilers, like at all. You don't even want to know what the pictures inside look like. Hey, if that's you, more power to you. All right, let's go ahead and start. Today we're going to start with, let's do Daredevil Gang War. Gang War, Daredevil, or Daredevil Gang War, really. Now, one thing to note is that these spines are yellow. They're yellow for all of the Gang War spines. Actually, the whole trade dress looks very similar to this. So they do stand out on your shelf, whereas most of the Marvel trade paperbacks of current series are this white spine. Okay, with the exception of Star Wars, of course, they have to stand out. But if you have like Daredevil, the new series, they do have a white spine on them. So these do stand out. Maybe all the Gang War are supposed to be together. Erica Schultz is writing it. Sergio Davila is the penciler. Sean Parsons is the inker. Cici De La Cruz is the colorist. And then Clayton Cowles, the letterer. And sometimes the variant covers are on the opposite page of the standard edition covers. So all of this is taking place during the Spider-Man Gang War event, which, ironically enough, it is not Daredevil-centric. It's more Spider-Man-centric. And it's when all of the gangs, the super gangs, if you will, have taken up arms and are fighting each other for territories of New York City. Now, you do have Spider-Man taking back territories, but he ends up getting some help. And one of the persons that he ends up getting the help of is Daredevil. Now, if you haven't read Chip Zdarsky's Daredevil or Saladin Ahmed's recent run, I guess I need to talk a little bit about who this Daredevil is. So just in case, spoilers. All right, spoilers just a little bit. This is Elektra. And as some of the characters in here call her, she's the she-devil. But she doesn't like that because she is Daredevil. That's who ended up getting the costume from Matt Murdock when Matt Murdock disappeared for a while. Now, Matt Murdock is still Daredevil in the pages of Daredevil, and you can find out what's going on there, or by watching the next part of the overviews with the Saladin Ahmed run. But this is who Spider-Man has decided to get the help from. You have She-Hulk, Miles Morales Spider-Man, Spider-Woman, and Daredevil. Now, Daredevil is like, hey, I work alone. I don't work with anybody. This is Hell's Kitchen. It's my territory. So Spider-Man's like, yeah, okay. That sounds about right. Now, in the pages of Saladin Ahmed's Daredevil, we have the introduction of the Heat, who are all these, it's another super gang, if you will. And they have different people that are working for them. This is Lieutenant Scarf, who is another key player in that run. Now, she's trying to take them down while also trying to disarm all the villains in Hell's Kitchen. And somebody is supplying the gangs of Hell's Kitchen with weapons, and new super weapons at that. And that is this new character. But is she really new? Who's behind the mask? Well, the answer may surprise you. But I'll give you a hint. If you haven't read Tom Taylor's all-new Wolverine, you might be a little lost as to who's behind that mask. So it's up to her to actually make alliances with some people that she may end up paying in the long run. So that's what's going on through this miniseries. It's her trying to reclaim the role of Hell's Kitchen's hero and trying to put a stop to the arms race that's going on here. And I will say the artwork here is freaking awesome. It kind of reminds me of a mix between like Mark Brooks. There's a little bit of like old school Steve Epting here. I don't know, but I'm digging it. I really like the art through this particular book. And let's look in the back here for the extras. This is where we're going to find some of the variant covers. And some of the variant covers have absolutely nothing to do with the main story. So this collects the miniseries Daredevil Gang War 1 through 4, and it has 112 pages. And then we have some original art here by Sergio Davila and Sean Parsons. And the book retails for $15.99. Spider-Boy Volume 2 Fun and Games. This is collecting Spider-Boy 5 through 8. And I will say that in the solicits, there was a different cover. I think it featured Spider-Boy and the character of Daredevil, Matt Murdock. So this is the continuation of the previous volume. We have Dan Slott writing the stories, Paco Medina, along with Julian Shaw, Eric Arciniega doing the colors, Edgar Delgado doing some of the colors, Walden Wong, and then also the Jason Liu art here, Nathan Stockman, and then the colors by Eric Arciniega. Now, what happened previously is we were getting to know the character of Bailey Briggs. And it was revealed in the, well, it was revealed before the first volume, but it can be found in the first volume who he is, who Spider-Boy is, where he came from. Well, we got to find out that he comes from this place called the Farm. It's a secret lab, and that is where Madame Monstrosity ended up making him. But not just him, there was this other creature that she made, and that is Boy Spider. Now, of course, with Ella Fino and all these other characters that are part of this particular farm. Now, when Boy Spider got out there, this happened in the previous volume, a lot of the heroes turned on Spider-Boy because they thought it was him, without really questioning it, including some of his friends, like Christina. So he was like, I'm out of here, man. I've already felt like I've been by myself. I don't need new friends. I'm gonna go and try to find this farm and try to find my real family. So what ends up happening is his friend, Christina, ends up getting kidnapped and taken back to the farm, where Madame Monstrosity wants to experiment on her, as she has all the creatures that live there, including Spider-Boy. Does it have anything to do with the High Evolutionary? Well, what do you think? Of course it does. Somebody experimenting on animals. So that's what she does. She experiments on Christina and trying to make her into something new. And what we get is this pigeon, Christina. She has to watch, like, this video on how she's a humanimal now, like the rest of the humanimals. So is she ever gonna go back to being human? And what does that say about Bailey? Well, there are some secrets that are revealed through here as to who some of these characters are and whether they're able to get their humanity back or not. Now, the Avengers and Spider-Man get involved, so you can pretty much figure out how that's going to end. Now, Spider-Boy becomes a bigger part of the Spider-Verse because of these last two issues that are in here, issues 9 and 10. I know that in issue 8 he ended up fighting the Puzzle Man, but I figure people want to know what is going on through here. So there has been a call that's been sent out, and they are talking about the great web of life and destiny, and what role Spider-Boy has to play in all of it. Now, my favorite part is that we do get, yes, all the way from Japan, Leopardin is back, coming from the live-action Spider-Man show. And he's not alone. Like, there's a lot of characters that appear through here. You have Gutterball, Christina, and also Spider-Man Rex, Spider-Man from 1622, what is it, 1622, I can't remember, the Spintress, and all these other characters that have been a part of the Spider-Verse. They all come back here. Now, it does continue into the next issue, so I'm not really sure how big of a Spider-Verse it's going to be, of whether involves the Superior Spider-Man or not. And here's the extras in the back, including variant covers. So this particular book, again, has 136 pages and retails for $17.99. Star Wars Darth Vader by Greg Pak, Volume 9, Rise of the Schism, Imperial. You've got this awesome cover there by Lionel Francis Yu. And I'm going to bring him up again because we need to talk about this awesome internal artwork in here by Adam Gorham. So, this is the continuation of Darth Vader by Greg Pak. And if you haven't read the previous volumes, I guess minor spoilers going into this one. This is collecting issues 42 to 45, Star Wars The Phantom Menace 25th Special, and then material from Star Wars Revelations #1. The book has 152 pages and retails for $19.99. Now, we have a little bit of Star Wars Revelations, Tool of the Empire, and you have art there by Salvador LaRocca. All of this written by Greg Pak. And here's your main artist on issues 42 to 45, and that's Adam Gorham. Paul Fry, colors by Federico Blee, and Joe Caramagna doing the lettering. Free Comic Book Day 2024, the curse right there. And that is Ramon Rosanas and Guru FX. And then the Darth Vader's issues 46 through 47, Rafael Ienco and Federico Blee and Joe Caramagna wrapping that up. So, what exactly is in this book is the aftermath of the Dark Droids. As a matter of fact, this kicks off with like a little bit of what's happening with the Dark Droids during the ending of this, and then the coming of what will be known as the Schism Imperial. So, this taking place, and this is really weird, and I say really weird because I had 2 books left to read yesterday, and I was finishing this up. No, I finished this and I went to read Star Wars Rebellion, which I'll also be talking about here in a second. And then I got a text message from one of my really good friends that James Earl Jones had passed away, and I thought, wow, it's not really weird, right? We read so many comics. But I was reading the Darth Vader's part, not just here, but also in the Rebellion, where it was Vader. And that's the voice of Vader, man. James Earl Jones, whose childhood was he not a part of? I mean, his voice is just so iconic, whether it's Vader, or whether it was the role in Conan, or in Lion King, or oh my gosh, Field of Dreams. I always love the way he said baseball. And I'm sure a lot of people grew up with The Sandlot. But anyway, it was just, rest in peace. He was a true legend. But back to this. So this is taking place after the events of The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. So it's in between Empire and Return of the Jedi. And what's happening here is that we're getting a new set of characters that appeared previously for a little while, but they will become really important here. And they're all part of this Mar Corp, as they are these characters here. They go up against Vader, but then Vader turns them to work for the Empire. And what's really cool is that there's some characters in here that are questioning the Empire. Like, they're Imperial, but they're not evil. And I like that about this book. I like that about what Greg Pak brings to this particular book. We do have the return of this character here, Administrator Moore. She's been sent there by the Emperor to help, quote unquote, Lord Vader. And then he starts building his own team. And you can see when he's building his own team, how Vader kind of makes them look like what are they called? The Inquisitors, giving them that black and metal and promising them, power. And it's just Vader being ruthless. There's a couple parts that happen through here where it kind of reminds me of the Vader down Vader, like the badass Vader that's able to take down an entire fleet. Oh my gosh, he's such an awesome character. And then we get this part right here. So we know this takes place between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. So Luke's on a journey, right? He's having these dreams, and they're continued dreams about Luke fighting Vader and things to come, if you will. There's a wonderful moment in here that I thought was played out so well, where someone stating like, well, no one in the universe can stop Vader, right? Like there's nothing that can stop you. And then there's scenes with Luke Skywalker. I thought that was a nice touch because of what's to come. But this is the story of Sabe coming after Luke Skywalker, knowing that he is the son of Darth Vader and what she plans to do with him. Oh, I can't wait for the next volume. And I realized the next volume is going to be the last volume of this era. I have no idea where they're going to go after this, whether it's, I guess, in between episodes 6 and 7, or maybe just after episode 6. And these are some of the extras. And just wait around to see what else they're going to do. I don't know. I don't think they've announced it yet as of this video. 152 pages, $19.99. Daredevil by Saladin Ahmed Volume 2, Hell to Pay. So after the Chip Zdarsky era of Daredevil comes the Saladin Ahmed era. Now, if you haven't read Volume 1, there might be some spoilers here, so I don't want to ruin that for anybody. So just in case, spoilers. Okay, so what we have here is Daredevil issue 6 through 10. The book has 184 pages and retails for $24.99. But why only issue 6 through 10? Well, because there's also a giant size issue that's collected in here. So this gives you a little bit of a recap as to what's happened previously. Daredevil 6 through 10, you have artwork by Aaron Kuder and Juan Cabal, and then Jesus Aburtov doing the colors there. And then you have these little side stories here by Erica Schultz, Ann Nocenti, Elsa Sudgenson, and D.G. Chichester. And then, of course, Saladin Ahmed. And then the artists that are working on those little stories. And then the giant-sized Daredevil right here by Paul Davidson and Matt Hollingsworth doing the art on that book. So we are continuing the story of Daredevil and Matt Murdock, how the world believes him to be dead because he had sacrificed himself to save his friends, and now he's a priest. And he's hanging around here, taking care of teens, and just working with other priests, including Father Javi there. Now, of course, Doctor Strange comes in because he knows everything that's going on in the world of the supernatural, and he ends up showing Matt this door where he can go in and defeat his demons. And I like when he comes out of this door what he looks like, but not where he ends up going is not where I expected him to go. But in here, yes, look at that. I don't know. It's the same costume, right? But it's white. But, when there's darkness, what else are you going to do? But he comes out of this vision looking like that, and he's ready to fight Wolverine. Because Wolverine has been taken over. He's hanging out at the bar with no name, and something or someone has taken over Wolvie. So they get into this big fight. It's been a minute since Wolverine and Daredevil. I think Devil's Reign was the last time. Sometimes variant covers are on the opposite side of the standard edition covers. Now, he's not alone because we also have Daredevil Elektra, which we talked about a little bit in that Daredevil Gang War miniseries. We have the return of Bullseye, but he's not quite the badass that I'm used to. When we have Bullseye coming into the story, I expect him to be the best assassin there is, but instead he works more like a messenger. Now, I left the part out where something big happens. There's a big reunion, and you can find that out for yourself. There's the story here between the Kingpin and a previous person that he'd harmed in the past coming back with, well, souped up armor, if you will. And then we continue the story of Daredevil here with issue number 10, which is the anniversary issue, which showcases the other stories by different creators in the back through different times in Matt's life. So I love when they do anniversary issues like that. I mean, 65 years of Daredevil. It's a long time. And then we have variant covers. Oh, sorry, this is the New York's funniest daily newspaper. This is Ty Templeton's little comic strips. Then we have variant covers, but not all of them. Some of them are in between pages there. That's an awesome variant, the Deadly Foes variant by Dave Barden. And that is Daredevil by Saladin Ahmed, Volume 2, Hell to Pay. And it is that time of the video where I remind people to smash that like button, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. But more importantly, that time of the video where we look at the spines of the books. So here are all the different spines of the books coming out this particular week. So let's go ahead and continue with the overview. All right, next up is Ultimate...
No, my turn.
You really want to do this?
Yes, I read it in single issues.
Okay, my bad.
Thank you for indulging me. Next up, we have Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 1, which collects the first 6 issues of the new Spider-Man continuity by Hickman, Kiketo, Messina, and Wilson. Now, don't confuse this with the Ultimate Universe continuity that Bendis wrote in the year 2000. This has Peter Parker as an adult married to Mary Jane, and they have a son and a daughter, which I'm all for. It's due out on September the 10th, contains 168 pages, retails for $19.99, and is rated T for teen. Now, I'm not a big fan of the Ultimate Lines graphic design, as you can see here on the cover of the trade. Let me show a few of the single issues. I don't like how there's a white frame around it. That's just my personal taste, and that's covering up part of the picture. So whenever I could, I would get the variant covers. The variant cover here to number 1 and 2. I love the composition on this cover to 3. And then finally, 6. I love the colors and just the way Spidey looks. It reminds me of how I would daydream about him in middle school, when I would daydream up adventures for us to have instead of paying attention in class. On the back, we see the spider design from the logo filled in with Spider-Man himself, and that's a nice touch. And on the spine, we see the same pic of him. There's an ad for the Ultimate Black Panther trade in the front, and the back Ultimate X-Men, and a summary of the events that took place to set up the new Ultimate Universe. Now, Hickman can definitely pen a dense and complicated story full of opportunities for readers to become engaged because they're trying to use context clues to decipher the backstory of the comic, but this one is pretty straightforward. Basically, it's the evil version of Reed Richards, the Maker, prevented Peter and the others from becoming superheroes in this world he wanted to build and control. And he, along with others, framed Tony Stark for a terrorist attack and murdered him in the process. So I will be discussing the events in the first issue, so just a heads up with that, but I won't touch the rest of the story. Hickman and Kiketo establish in the first few pages the vibe of Peter's home life. By just this normal morning interaction, we see that he is close to his children, he has a healthy means of communication with his wife, and that something will be happening later on in the day that's going to be rough for him. I love that with the flip of the page, we see J. Jonah Jameson yelling at Parker, but it's not Peter for whom he yells. It's for Ben Parker, Peter's uncle. Woohoo! He's alive! I love how Kiketo slanted the pen on the left of Jameson and tilted the panel of Ben on the right so that your eyes like guiding the two of them meeting together before they actually get together in the last panel. Also, I can't tell what the picture is in the article over here that's titled Wanted, but over here, there's Roxxon, which is the antagonist corporation in Miles Morales' run. So that's cool. In this universe, Peter and Jameson have a good relationship, and we learned that Aunt May died in the supposed terrorist attack conducted by Tony Stark that I mentioned earlier, along with Norman Osborn dying as well. Matt Murdock is not a lawyer, and he's a priest who's conducting this memorial service in Harry Speaks mourning his father, and he'll definitely play a role later. Now, because Wilson Fisk buys the Daily Bugle, both Jameson and Ben quit and decide to start their own paper. It was fun just to sit with these two characters and spend time with them. Peter and MJ have a great, healthy, productive conversation about what's bothering him, and so that was refreshing to read. And I love how she ends with, "Go get him, Tiger." And as you can tell, this first issue is lengthy and it's awesome. It introduces all the main players, and it ends with a hologram of Tony Stark's son, Tony, giving Peter the chance to be bitten by the radioactive spider and become the hero he was meant to be. And then you find out, oh, that's that ball that his daughter was playing with at the beginning of the story, huh? So here's the hero he's always meant to be. The covers are placed at the beginning of each issue, and sometimes a page of variant colors follows an issue. The larger collection of the variants are at the end, so why don't we skip to the back and take a look at that. Different Spidey suits. And And let's see. Oh man, I love this one. I wanted that one. I like how old school that one looks. The perspective on this one is awesome. Aren't variants fun? I am a sucker for variants. There's just such great artwork showcased on them. And this one here, that's really sweet. And that's it. Like I mentioned before, this is a straightforward story, so if the fact that Hickman's writing it kind of scared you a little bit because of other things he's written in the past that are very dense, and you have to use a lot of context clues and just detective work to figure it out, this one is just a good, solid story.
Can I?
Yeah, here you go. Here's your channel back. Goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Next. Now, before you go, Melanie, every week on the channel, I do a seal of approval. Like, what book gets my seal of approval for that week? And this week, I haven't announced it yet. Would you like to do your seal of approval on a book this week?
How do you do it? Thumbs up?
No, we have like a graphic.
Oh, graphic here. Ta-da!
All right.
My pick of the week.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Now you get like 2 picks of the week. Yeah, this was an excellent read. Thank you. All right. Next. Star Wars Epic Collection, The Rebellion, Volume 6. So this is Volume 6 of The Rebellion, and this takes place between episodes 5 and 6, which is so interesting because I just did that overview of the Darth Vader by Greg Pak, and I was talking about how, James Earl Jones passed away as I was reading this, and that's the way I read Vader's voice. You have all these wonderful collaborators over here. John Wagner, Bruce Jones, Mark Schultz, Archie Goodwin, just to name a few, Killian Plunkett, John Nadeau, Brett Blevins, Mel Ruby, Al Williamson, just to name a few of the pencilers, P. Craig Russell, Brett Blevins, Andrew Papoy for the inkers, and all these others. The colors like Carrie Porter and Perry McNamee, Dan Jackson, Dave McCagg, and lettering over here by Dave Cooper, Michael Taylor. So this does collect Shadows of the Empire. So collecting Shadows of the Empire 1 through 6, Star Wars The Bounty Hunter, Scoundrels, or Scoundrels, Uncanny Homer Duck Pretty one day, Scoundrels Wages #1, the classic Star Wars Return of the Jedi, issues 1 and 2, it's an adaptation of the movie, Star Wars Tales from Mos Eisley, issue #1, Star Wars Tag and Bank #1, and then Sergio Aragonés Stomp Star Wars issue #1, and Star Wars Shadows of the Empire mini comics 1 and 2, and the material from Star Wars Kids #12, Star Wars Visionaries, and Star Wars Tales 2, 4 through 8, 10, 12, 14, and 20. The book has 488 pages and retails for $44.99. Now, Shadows of the Empire. Oh my gosh. This was an event. It was insane. So in 1997, or I guess 1996 is when it all started, I was going into college, and my buddy Dan loved Star Wars. Like, absolutely loved Star Wars. And he was like, dude, Star Wars is coming back. Now, we had seen the movies come back in the movie theater of episodes 4, 5, and 6, and we were getting ready because in 1997 is when episode 1 was supposed to come out. However, The Phantom Menace was pushed back until 1999. So what they decided to do was actually make an event out of an expanded universe story that started off as a novel. And I'll be honest, I've never read the novel. I've just played the video game, and then read the comics. The novel was where it started, but it got so much more than that. There was a toy line. So people were excited about Star Wars again. People were craving more Star Wars. It didn't need to be a movie. It was unprecedented that the toy line got made. There was a soundtrack of Shadows of the Empire, but more importantly for me and a bunch of others, there was a video game on the Nintendo 64, Shadows of the Empire, and it was insane. So the comic book is an adaptation of the novel. Again, I haven't read the novel. Both my brother and my buddy Dan have, and we talked a little bit this weekend about what I read here in this particular issues of Shadows of the Empire. I mean, there's more than just Shadows of the Empire, but Shadows of the Empire is what really is in here. And In Shadows of the Empire, it focuses more on the characters of Boba Fett, and apparently it didn't do that in the novel. We still have our Prince Xizor here, who is still in charge of the Black Sun Order. There's Giru right there. But it mainly focuses on the whole adventure of Boba Fett, like focusing on him and his task of taking Han Solo's body over to Jabba the Hutt. And man, this comic was so good. Because immediately after Empire, that's when it takes place, you know, Luke has his hands replaced. And his hand is like, hey, I'm ready to go. Let's go get Han. We can't leave Han out there, you know? And Princess Leia is like, look, you need to rest. You just found out all these things that we don't know yet. But we've got Wedge out there with a bunch of squadrons. They're out there. They're going to go and find Han Solo. But little do they know that Han is being taken again by Boba Fett. So this is the story that takes place in between Empire and Return of the Jedi. But this is the classic era, the Dark Horse era. And damn, was this good. This epic collection is worth it for the Shadows of the Empire alone. It was just so awesome to see a character like Prince, or I guess really fallen Prince, right? Xizor, like manipulate both, or I guess play both ends of the Emperor and Princess Leia. I thought that was a really interesting character. And then just using his weird charm on her. But we see Luke get his new lightsaber, which he'll have in Return of the Jedi. We see the return of Dash Rendar here, who, I mean, somebody's got to play the role of Darth Vader. But Luke actually gets to use his lightsaber here and practice it after getting it made. We get to see the origin of where this costume that Princess Leia had in Return of the Jedi came from. And it's not really where I thought it was going to go. Like, I haven't read the comic adaptations in years. And then this was all new stuff back here. Or to me, anyway. I know it's reprints of Dark Horse material. But this is broken up into 3 different stories. The story in the middle here, this one really hit. It's all about this man that got trapped in space. This guy right here, telling a story to Bazim at the bar, talking about how he lost everything in space and his only really companion was this cyborg robot named Millie. And something ends up happening that brings him and Millie closer in ways I didn't expect it to go. Then we get this one shot right here. And this is The Bounty Hunter's Scoundrel's Wages. This is by Mark Schultz and Mel Ruby doing the pencils here. But this is following the adventures of Lando Calrissian, who ends up visiting the palace of what is the name of that hut? It's a hut. Quafug, I think. Quafug the Hutt. And he's just there on a diplomatic mission sent there by the Rebel Alliance. And he ends up getting captured and then eventually gets sentenced to death because of this previous thing that happened in the past. We get some more short stories. And then eventually we do get the adaptation of Star Wars Return of the Jedi, which if you've seen the movie, of course, it's a pure adaptation. A couple of changes here and there, mainly in the dialogue, but it is strictly an adaptation. And then the things that are after the adaptation are just like these goofs. I like to call them goofy stories. Kind of not really set in the universe of Star Wars. There's one here in particular. Yes, right here. The Return of Tag and Bink. This is Tag and Bink number 1. I remember my brother having this. He was big into Star Wars Expanded Universe. He was mainly about the novels, but from time to time he would get the comics. I just remember digging the art, because this was during the time when I was out of comics, you know? And it was really cool to see just such a focus on Star Wars property that wasn't a movie. Like, again, unprecedented. So for me, the way this is written, Shadows of the Empire alone, here's all the extras in the back, including covers of trades, house ads, pinups, sketches, this wonderful poster right here. I think we gave this away at one of our giveaways many years ago on Near Mint Condition. Character designs, Ewoks, and then again covers adapted to the film in Japanese manga form for covers by Adam Warren and Joseph Wright. But there's just something special about this era of Star Wars. So for me this week, and keep in mind, this is going up against this wonderful book. This gets my seal of approval. Absolutely. Oh my gosh. For Shadows of the Empire alone, it was a masterpiece. I assume the novel is just so superior. But yeah, absolutely. Marvel Masterworks, the Uncanny X-Men Volume 1. This is the Masterworks. And oh my gosh, what is wrong with me? I gave Star Wars The Rebellion my seal of approval for this week. Yeah, it was tough. It was tough, but it was so good. Not that the stories in here aren't. You all know how I feel about Uncanny X-Men. It's my favorite, absolutely. So collecting Uncanny X-Men 94 to 100, giant size number 1. This book has 256 pages and retails for $75. Here's your table of contents right here. There is a foreword by Stan Lee talking about how they were doing things at the time in the cancellation of X-Men, and then the introduction here by the legendary Chris Claremont, who of course ended up taking over the book after Len Wein and just made it into this masterpiece. Now, I have talked about the stories a lot in here, but one of the things I want to do is, number one, I want to kind of give you an idea of what the artwork looks like. You know, majority of this is, of course, drawn by the legendary and gone way too soon Dave Cockrum. Love that guy's artwork. And the older I get, the more I enjoy his artwork. He's just so good at the panel layouts, the close-ups on faces. Like, the drama that he draws in these characters' faces equals the drama that is going on in the dialogue and story. And, of course, these classic issues taking us all the way to the big fight in issue number 100, which again will lead into 101, which is the coming of the Phoenix. But yeah, in issue 100 is where the X-Men get to fight each other, and to the death. Betrayed by Professor Xavier. Right. So yeah, the classic X-Men get to fight the new X-Men from Giant Size, Storm, Banshee, Colossus, Wolverine, Nightcrawler. Wait a minute. Where's Sunfire and Thunderbird? They didn't make the cut. Well, not really. But let's look at the extras, and then we'll look at the comparison. Because I do want to do a comparison, because I know that's what people want to see. So the extras have original designs. They have character designs for people that didn't even make it into the book. Did I say book? Oh my gosh. I need a nap. And house ads. And then articles here. I love these old pictures of what these people... Oh my gosh. You have Claremont up there with Len Wein and Dave Cockrum. And Claremont is the one that's still left here. Read all about... I can't imagine what it was like back then, just finding all those... I don't want to really call them fanzines, but they were like fan magazines about the creators, original art. Because now we have, the internet. You can just go in... complain or praise something that you just read on the internet, on Twitter. You don't have to leave the bathroom or to the comfort of your home. Okay, so let's see here. So we have original art, and then we've got, of course, reprints here. Marvel Illustrated book, the X-Men cover there from 1982. And classic X-Men covers here, including the front piece. I was hoping they may add the pages. That would have been cool to see classic, but I'm sure classic X-Men will one day be Marvel Masterwork. Arthur Adams, of course, supplying the front piece as well as the covers here. And then you have Marvel Collectible Classics number 5. And the Ace Edition, the Wizard Ace Edition, the Marvel Essentials cover, the Marvel Masterworks trade paperbacks, which had a new cover by John Watson. No, that's from the Omnibus. This is just the painted cover there by Dean White. This is the Omnibus. And 45th anniversary of all different X-Men, giant size tribute to Wein and Cockrum, number 1. And the original art there by the man himself, Alex Ross. And then the bios on Chris Claremont, Dave Cockrum, Bill Mantlo, and Len Wein. So again, the book has 256 pages. So I think they added a couple of things. I had the Masterworks many years ago, so it's had a couple of reprints since then. But what I want to do is I have the latest printing of this book right here, and this is the Epic Collection, Second Genesis. I don't think it's a fair comparison to make to my omnibus, because my omnibus is still the first printing. So I know the scans have looked a lot better since then. But these do have new scans and new touched up artwork. So let's see what the differences are. Let's look in, first of all, the cover here. So you have the Epic Collection and the Masterwork cover. Of course, the paper stock is different. That's one thing to keep in mind. So the colors are going to look a slight bit different. So these look a little bit more vibrant over here. But again, that's probably due to the paper quality instead of the paper stock they're using here. But what I wanted to look at is the actual scans to see just how much has been cleaned up. Not that these are bad scans, they're great scans to begin with. And one thing I've said on the channel before is like, most people aren't able to tell the differences when a new scan is cleaned up some of the artwork or touched up some of the artwork. But it does happen, especially with the finer lines right there on the inks. So it is a little bit different than what we have here in the Epic Collection. It's just cleaned up some of the line work there and the details up here. And again, the colors are affected, but mainly due to the paper stock. They're more vibrant over here. Let me compare another page over here with the Epic Collection. So you can see the more details on the faces than you can over here. Like I said, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the Epic. It's just that this is the latest scans with the latest restoration. And that, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing any of these books, don't forget to check out our sponsor, cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and build of each of these books. Let me know in the comments down below which ones you are picking up, which ones you're hoping will come out in an omnibus one day, which ones you're getting in trade paperbacks in single issues. I'd love to know your thoughts on the ongoing series like Spider-Boy or Ultimate Spider-Man, and what you think of this era of Star Wars. Do you think the next era will be post Episode 6 and between Episode 7? Let me know all those comments down below. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. Everyone stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.